Welcome to My New BFF, a part of the Black Love Podcast Network. I am Codie Elaine Oliver, co-creator of Black Love, and I am joined here today by someone that I have known for a while. And when I say a while, I mean way before any of us did anything y'all ever heard of. How about that? How about that? And though she's always been a star to me, you know, you all are seeing her star shine very brightly right now. She's the first Black solo country artist to be nominated in a Grammy category, the first Black woman to co-host the Academy of Country Music Awards, and a new mama. Please welcome Mickey Guyton. Rah, rah.
Codie, I am I can't even tell you how special this moment is for me. Just watching like you when you were in film school to now creating this show about love between Black people and celebrating that is something that is just so special. When I saw that coming out, like I remember it all, and it's like it gets emotional for me because what you've achieved is,
girl,
you never think you have dreams that you believe, but when it happens, it's like, wow.
I feel the same because I cannot listen to your music without crying, and it's like, it's both, of course, there's a lot of power and emotion and passion in the storytelling in your songs, but also when I can't listen or watch without just thinking of the journey. And like,
it's the journey.
2007, I was moving to LA from DC. I was at Howard. I was coming to USC for film school. And my mama was like, you need to meet this girl. Her name is Candace. I know her daddy.
My government name.
She was like, you know, I know her daddy and she's a singer and y'all need to know each other. And we were like the same age, 23, 24, whatever it was. Yeah. And I was,
you had that cute hair that was about shoulder length. You were just
it was like a nice volume back then,
like, girl. I just looked up to you so much. I just thought you were the beautiful woman I'd ever seen. And you were just so passionate and smart. Yes.
Well, that's how I felt about you.
We turned up a few times too.
We turned up, and all I knew then was like that you had so much history, right? So much had already happened in music, at least the way I looked at it. I know for you it may have felt different, but I knew you had done American Idol. I knew that I knew that there had been, you know, maybe deals that fell through and stuff like that. And to a certain extent, like, I get the music industry is crazy. And so for me at that time, it was like, okay, these things happen, but like this voice, this woman who keeps walking around here singing Natural Woman at every occasion, belting this thing out. What's funny is I remember like it was someone's birthday.
And I remember you singing that. You made me feel like a natural woman on your birthday.
I remember that. Your voice was just so amazing. And so I was just thrilled to be around. And we were kicking it. We were. My first year in LA, and we were out in these streets a little bit.
Just a little bit. I had that boyfriend I should have never been with.
I do recall.
Oh my God.
And that I had to make these short films like once a month for school. Like I had to do something different every time.
He's in it.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was in it. All my memory is that you were in my short, and I think you even wrote a poem or something. It was like, I think it was a diary entry or something. Oh my God, I'm gonna lose these headphones. Yes. Those were the days, girl.
Those were the days.
Those were some of the days.
It's just so crazy that now we're here.
Yeah.
And in that time, you know, it's so crazy as a Black woman, as Black women, what we're supposed to do is just, you know, sing R&B, sing pop.
Right.
You know, just put ourselves in boxes. Or Black women and Black relationships for that matter. Like you're showing the beauty in Black relationships that are not celebrated enough. And that is beautiful. And now me being a Black woman in country music, and also opening the doors for other Black women who have dreams, have valid dreams that want to be in these genres. Like it's insane for us to be standing here in our careers
Yeah.
and the doors that we're opening. It's insane.
Girl, okay, wait. I have so many questions, especially
Yes.
with that. So I want to
Yeah.
start with one thing that, I'm in full love mode because, Black Love season 5 is underway and I'm just
Yes.
obviously a person who's obsessed with love. But who has taught you the most about love, good or bad?
So good and bad. My husband has taught me the most about love. And
Mhm.
honestly, I don't feel like I was completely living until I met him
Yeah.
or till I started dating him because I knew him for a while.
Mhm.
And he was the first person to truly accept me for who I am
Mhm.
and pushed me to push the boundaries and not feel so much shame for just figuring out my life. Growing up
Yeah.
in the South and in the church, like there's so many restrictions, there's so many boundaries that I'd set up for myself, and I took those walls down and started living, and he taught me the most. Like the
Yeah.
reason why I'm even where I'm in my career is because I listened to him, and he said, just be who you are, accept that you're enough.
I love that. And okay, so I think I didn't say this, but obviously we were kicking it real hard for a couple years there. And then we fell
Hmm.
out. Well, not fell out, like nothing
Yeah.
happened. Nothing happened. Just life. And so
Life.
I was just so excited to sort of see, how things had changed for you professionally. And of course, in
Yeah.
preparation for this conversation, I
Yeah.
did some reading. And for sure, everything that I have seen that you've shared about Grant has just been really beautiful. And so, and I believe you guys were together like 7 years before you got married, right? But you knew
Hmm.
each other, like you were friends
Yeah.
before that. I
Yeah.
love
I
it.
knew him. He was one of my when I moved to LA, my first friend, it was her stepbrother. He's her
Mm-hmm.
stepbrother. And my
Mm-hmm.
best friend out in LA was her stepbrother. So I met him. I was just like, hi, nice to meet you. Never in a million years did I ever think that he was going to be my husband. And I'm so
Yeah.
glad. Clearly, I wasn't ready for him until then.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my God, like his love is just so pure and true and good. And we've gone through a lot. Like we were in a
Yeah.
long distance relationship for 9 years until the pandemic.
What? Wait, what?
Hmm. Yes, girl. Even when we got married, we were in a long distance marriage.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Like the
Okay.
pandemic
Wow.
was the best thing to happen for our relationship because we weren't
Yeah.
stuck and we got to be together. I was always going back and forth to Nashville, so we weren't fully living in the same space. And
Yeah.
man, I should have moved back home a long time ago.
Well, going forward, what's that going to look like when the world opens back up?
Well, it's cheaper to buy a place in Nashville
Yeah.
than it is obviously in LA. So we're looking to buy something that we can Airbnb whenever I'm not there
Yeah.
because it's a huge, tourist town now.
Yeah. I was going to say
And
that's a
that's
lucky Airbnb.
yes,
You can't
yes,
say whose house it
yes,
is. Yeah.
yes. So that's kind of what we're looking at right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you guys, connected in the
yeah.
pandemic
Yes, we had a baby.
and then you had a baby, your first son, your first baby.
Yeah,
Grayson. So, okay,
yeah.
girl. People say that babies bring blessings, and I tend
They
to agree.
do.
Yeah, I tend to agree. In 2016, when my son was born, so many things happened that it was like both overwhelming and
Uh-huh.
wonderful. So much
Yes.
has happened for you this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
History making Grammy nomination, co-hosting the ACMs, the song Black Like Me just exploding in the most positive, well, obviously there's some negative too, but
Yeah.
listen, in the most beautiful and positive and necessary of ways.
Yeah.
So I know it's not easy juggling all of that with a newborn. So how do you really do it? Like break it down, because I'm not about the rainbows and butterflies.
So when I first found out that I was pregnant, it was 4 days after we released it on Blackout Tuesday.
Mm.
And
Oh,
I
okay.
wrote
Okay.
that song, Black Like Me, 2 years ago
Oh,
after
wow.
I'd seen like the Botham Jean, the
Yeah.
Philandro Castile, and countless amounts
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
murders of Black men. I've personally seen police brutality against my own husband. when we were living in Ventura County. A Karen made a false report on us in an all-white neighborhood.
Wow.
And the cops came to our house, dragged him out of
What?
out of our house. Yes.
Okay.
Threw him on the ground, said, "You're not a lawyer. That's not your car parked out in the driveway." And it was like traumatic. And this is while I was still on tour with like Brad Paisley. And I was having to, stand in front of Confederate flags and
while performing,
be called the N-word at a country concert, knowing that had just happened to my husband. So when I wrote that song, all of those things were in my mind. So then when we released Black Like Me on Blackout Tuesday, I was stuck in my room for like a whole weekend. The only thing I really did was either like leave to like take the dogs out, but I was terrified in those moments about releasing this song. I was terrified. And then I took a pregnancy test and I found out that I was pregnant 4 days later.
Wow.
And I remember I felt like I was like 16 or something and got pregnant out of wedlock. So because I was just like, this is not happening to me right now.
Yeah.
Like you try so hard to have a career and nothing happens. And then something finally happens and then you're pregnant.
What was the response to the song like in those 4 days? Like were people just in the first 4 days gravitating?
I've never seen like my social media and like constant hits and that kind. I've never gotten that kind of attention from any song that I've ever released, ever.
Yeah.
And it was overwhelming. Like I still, to this day, I still haven't gotten to all the messages. And that's a year later. Like every time I like log back in, there's more that I just miss. Some nice, some not so nice.
Yeah.
So in that moment, it wasn't a jump for joy moment when I found out I was pregnant, to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought, and this is so unfortunate and it's horrible, but as women, we're taught, oh, you can't have love, career, and a family. Like you can have a career or you can have a family. You can't have both. So I thought that me being pregnant I was going to lose everything. I thought I was going to lose my deal. I thought I was going to lose my management. All of that.
Fast forward.
I did. I really did. And it was horrible. And I was almost scared to let people know that I was pregnant. And I cried. I cried. I mourned my former life because I didn't know what was ahead of me. And now he's the greatest blessing. And like, I can't tell you, like it, like you said, it's overwhelming how many blessings, how many opportunities I got that actually made me money. That helped me sustain myself and my family and all of that in a pandemic like this baby.
Yeah. And now he was there for all of it, girl. He was inside you for all of it.
All of it.
That's amazing.
So crazy. And now that he's here, he's such a calm, sweet baby. Like he hardly even cries. And it's just insane. Like God sent me an angel for real.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to you about my birth. Like I was so scared. I was terrified.
But you took care of yourself. You got a doctor that you were comfortable with.
Yes, I got
a black woman. Yep. And that's, that's all we can do, right? Is make the most empowered, knowledgeable choices around birth. And so bravo to you for doing that and talking about it too.
I was so terrified because when I saw that Beyonce and Serena Williams, like two superhumans that have billions of dollars that can go and find the best of the best of the best. When I found out they almost died during childbirth, I was like, nobody is safe. If two queens, literal queens, almost died during childbirth. So I was terrified. And I was like, I don't care where this doctor is. She's in Verdugo Hills. She's this little pint-sized little black woman who took so much care of me. She made sure that she was in the room. She's big on implicit biases in the birth and in the medical field. Like that's something that she's really, really passionate about. And she gave me the best birth experience I think I could have ever had.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about, I guess, Grayson a little bit and what you were saying from the standpoint of, So there's two things here for me, right? My New BFF is really all about talking about like what's underneath. We see the star and we see the professional stuff, but there's two things that are really coming up for me. And there's like the professional journey and how, you have to stay the course, even sometimes when you question the course and want to turn back. And then there's what you mentioned about this world that we live in and how it treats us as Black people, and having a son and having a Black son in America. And so I guess I really want to like, how do you prepare him, Grayson? You have plenty of time, but how do you prepare him for this world? And how do you prepare yourself as a mom?
This will get me crying now that I'm a mom, like the emotions. To be honest, the last year up until this point has been really devastating and heavy. Yeah. And even with all of these amazing things that have happened in my professional life, personally behind closed doors has been really hard.
Yeah.
And I look at this beautiful baby. I even look at your beautiful Black sons and you see this like innocent, sorry.
It's all right.
This innocent, baby.
Yeah.
That all these people that are pro-life and anti-abortion, and once they become like 10, they're a threat. And that to me is, I'm looking at this baby that's eventually going to be a threat to somebody.
Yeah.
And that
not even
is
10
just,
sometimes.
Not even 10 sometimes. And that to me is just so heavy and devastating because like something that we created and love, that we love with every ounce of our being.
Yeah.
I don't exactly know how to prepare and prepare for him and his life and how to prepare myself. I know I've talked to my husband about, so when are we going to talk about how he's supposed to act whenever he gets pulled over by law enforcement? The fact that that is even a conversation now, and he's not even 3 months old. He's not even 3 months old. And I'm having these conversations and people just don't understand what a Black mother is thinking about. The terror. It's terrifying. It is terrifying.
I think too that one thing that I try to focus on, and one thing that I think that you do really beautifully already, is to be unapologetically us, right? Be unapologetically Black. Remind our children and our people of their beauty, of their gifts, because the stronger we feel, the more we love ourselves.
Yes.
The better chance we have to get through this fight, right?
Yes. And we can't do it alone.
One thing that you do that is like simultaneously entertaining, but also very painful to watch, but I'm sure for you as well, is like you will call out these racists in your DMs.
Oh.
And it gets my blood boiling because I'm like, let me find her. What I'm about to say to this one, like, I'm serious. I have gone to these people's pages when you post them, and first I'm like, good for her, included their handle, and then I'll go and I'll be looking at their page.
And don't forget, it has like a Bible verse.
Yes,
I love Jesus. Yep. All of that kind of goodness all up in their profiles. Yeah,
you will call them out.
My whole thinking is, if you have taken the time to go onto my Instagram and press message and tag my name and write out a long paragraph about how I should take my Black ass out of country music and everything else, I will gladly use my little bit of a platform that I have. I will give that to you to, tell the world exactly how you feel.
Ooh, yes.
And I take screenshots because you can't delete. I have receipts. And I like, as long as people continue to see what is happening, like, we can't get comfortable. And that's what it's a reminder. It's painful. It's hurtful beyond measure sometimes. But at the same time, I can take it. I can handle it. I've got a solid home base. Mental health is a big thing for me. If I need to call my therapist, I can.
Yeah.
And And people have to see, like, I'm in
Yeah.
this platform, I'm in this genre where, you know, there are a lot of white people that don't think that racism is there. And so, as long as I'm sending them a right reminder that it is still there, then
Mm-hmm.
they will look within themselves and look who they're surrounded by
Yeah.
and figure out
Yeah.
like what is happening, because it's unacceptable.
Yeah. And as painful
It's
as it
socially
is,
unacceptable.
socially unacceptable conduct, as my
Yes.
mama would say.
Yes.
As painful as it is, I'm glad that you do it because it is a reminder. It's a
Yeah.
reminder of who these people are. I mean, it's the same thing
Hmm.
Sean King does. You know, he's
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna make sure y'all see it. And
Yeah.
it's hard, but it's like it's necessary.
It is necessary because so many people will just be a social loafer and
Mm-hmm.
sit back and let everything be as it may. But that cannot
But we
happen
can't do that.
anymore.
Nope.
The way that things are changing is when people see it and they make those phone calls to those police departments, and they
Mm-hmm.
public outrage is so important. Our cell phones are the biggest weapon we have these days. So we have to
Yeah.
use it to
Yep.
call out and shame these racists. They need to
Yep.
know. And it's just so funny that when these racists spew their hate, then they expect love back. And you're like,
Nah.
what do you mean? You
Do
just
they
called me
write
the
you
N-word.
after you post them? Do they then write you again?
I've had a few of those that have been, and I think they're kids, to be
Oh
honest.
my
Because
goodness.
the
Okay.
the response, like one person was like, "Take your black ass out of country music," and I posted them up there, and they were sent back, "Oh my God, that was my sister that said that. I'm crying. I can't believe." And then the profile just disappears. So I think
Oh
some of them
wow.
are
Good
kids.
girl. Disappear. Bye. Um
True. It's true.
So I want to talk more about the music of it all because, like I said, the music business like is totally baffling to me and presumably to most of the world, right? So,
Girl,
you know, as I mentioned, we met
especially
back in
country music.
2007. Yeah, that part.
Yeah.
We met back in 2007, and I know that at that point there had already been so many highs and lows, and you were barely a 20. We were 23ish, 24,
I
something.
know.
And there had already been highs and lows. And like you mentioned, it also feels at that time like it's over, right? If you
Hmm.
haven't excelled to such and such a level, it's over, which is clearly not the case, world. Okay. We're talking to
Yeah.
a Grammy nominated artist in 2020 right now. Well, 2020 Grammy
Yes.
nomination. So I did some digging because, you know, I had to learn more about you professionally that I didn't
Yeah.
know. And so I saw that you mentioned back in 2015 to Gail. So this is 8 years after we met. And to me, you were
Hmm.
like, you know, deep in this business. You mentioned in 2015 you were starting your career bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. So
Hmm.
what was the thing that happened in 2015 that was like the beginning of something? Like what was that
Yeah.
moment?
Well, I had finally gotten like a record deal.
Yeah.
And I got signed and I was in
Mhm.
Nashville and I was singing country music. And that's something that
Yeah.
I've grown up and I've loved so deep.
Yeah.
And so you move back to the South after living in LA for however long I lived there. And you think, oh, it's kind, good people and it's an
Yes, girl.
industry.
Mhm.
And I was bright-eyed. I was ready to learn the way of Nashville, learn the way of how to have a successful country music career and respect. Obviously, like you want to, you're the new person in town, and you don't want to come in there and just completely do something different. Like you want to follow the rules that everybody else has done. So I was very much so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but I got my record deal in the end of 2011, like December
Oh,
2011
okay.
I signed.
Okay.
And so then I moved to Nashville in December 2000, yeah, 2011, 2012. So that's when I moved out there. So by the time I did the Gayle King interview, I had finally put out a song that was
Mhm.
going up the charts. I was on a tour with Brad Paisley. Like it
Yeah,
looked like
yeah.
it was gonna
Right.
go.
Wait, but even that, you're saying 2011 signed the deal, 2015 we've got the song. And it's like even that to me is like, whoa, it takes 4 years?
Yeah. And
And which
it's
song was that, by the
crazy.
way? Cuz I'm a fan. I need to know which one was that.
Better Than You Left Me.
Okay.
And I wrote that song. That was one of the first songs I wrote when I moved
Yeah.
to Nashville.
Yeah.
So I wrote that song in 2012 and we didn't release it until 2015.
Got it. Wow.
So
Whew.
imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine being signed to a label for 3 years. And granted, the label, like right when I got signed, then the labels sold, like they sold Capitol to Universal,
Mm.
and then Universal merged, and we didn't have a president of a label for a long time.
Right.
Then
Right.
I was writing all these songs, and everybody was waiting for the magic unicorn hit, but everybody loved Better Than You Left Me. And I wrote that
Mm-hmm.
3 years ago. It took 3 years for the label to finally say okay.
Yeah. Mm.
And I've seen other female artists signed to the same label and other labels that'll get signed to a label and they'll release a single a year, 2 years later,
Right.
release a
Yeah.
full album a year, 2, 3 years later. That wasn't the case for me.
Mm. Okay.
And in 2015, I thought that was going to happen. And then I clearly saw that it wasn't.
So is that when you mention, almost giving up? Is
Mm-hmm.
that kind of where that came from?
Yeah. Like I will never forget it. I had did all of this to get this song out on country radio. I did this thing called Country Radio Seminar Week, and I sang Better Than You Left Me, and all the radio program directors all over the United States freaked out over it. So I thought I was going to get that support.
Yeah.
And the song was going up the charts. And then another artist who is my sister, I love her so much, who has risked her own career. Her name is Cam, and she risked her own career to give me opportunities in this industry. Like she is so anti-racism, and she will do everything that in her power to help
Yeah.
people of color and marginalized groups within country music. It's truly an honor to stand with her and by her. But she had released a song at the same time as I did. And they didn't want to play two ballads and two women at the same time. So they took mine off and played hers.
Wow. Girl.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you almost gave up and maybe you tell me if I'm combining like stories or moments, right? But that
Yeah.
Grant, your husband, at some point was the reason you didn't.
Yeah. He refused to let me give up. Like at a
Yeah.
certain point, girl, I was broke. Like couldn't pay my credit cards, broke. Like
Paint the picture. How old were you?
33.
Okay.
I wasn't a spring chicken, so imagine how that was feeling. Like
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
broke, girl. Like I had to completely rely on my husband, and at a certain
Yeah.
point I didn't want obviously him to have to pay my debt, so I never
Right.
asked him for it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I had credit cards I couldn't pay. I had creditors calling me every single day, getting served papers, broke.
Mm. And
It was
so
hard.
what was plan B if you were going to leave music or country music specifically?
I didn't have a plan B. Like music was it. I just was
Yeah.
like, well, I'll just move to LA and figure it out. Like I had no
and
plan.
you were in Nashville then, right?
Yeah, I was in Nashville.
And Grant was
and I
in LA.
remember, and I
Lower
would
long
call
distance.
him
Yeah.
and I would be so frustrated and crying, and he'd be like, you can't give up. And I would be mad at him for not allowing me to give up. I'm like, the only reason why I'm here is because you made me be here. It was like
No.
that kind of a thing. Like
Girl.
it was bad. Like I was like, why would anybody want to hear what I have to say? Like I don't have anything to say. And at this point, this is years, Codie, of me writing the crappiest songs because I was trying to fit in this genre. And the way that they make women feel in this genre is that you can only sing about love, not too much heartbreak. It's not ladylike for you to really sing about drinking. So you can only there's this little window of what they want women to sing. And it can't be political. It can't be that. And it's just like, why are all these limitations on women? Like this makes no sense.
Yeah.
And as a Black woman, it really didn't make sense. And then I'm looking around And I felt like everybody in this industry was just scared to offend anybody, and we didn't want to be canceled
Yeah.
because country radio will cancel you if you say anything that they don't like to see.
Wow.
But now everybody hates cancel culture, but we're like, well, where did cancel culture come from?
Mm-hmm. So you were living long distance from your husband, pursuing a music career that you were in many ways pushed out of as a woman,
Yes.
as a Black woman,
Watching all
mad at
these
your man for for supporting you
girl,
endlessly.
watching, you know, country music fans and fans
Yeah.
canceling NFL players for kneeling during the national
Yeah.
anthem.
Yeah.
All of
Yeah.
this was
Yeah.
happening, and I felt like I wanted to crawl out of my skin. Like this, I was so miserable
Yeah.
because it is not natural for you to just, for me at least, to just shut my mouth and not have an opinion.
Yeah. So and this
Yeah.
was okay. We're like I'm like 37, so that was like 3-4 years ago,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
about
not
four
that
years
long.
ago. Mm-mm.
Um,
I'm
so
37 too.
okay, that's what I thought, but you know, some folks don't want to say all that.
Girl, I will
So,
claim my age.
so as a fan, Black Like Me comes out in 2020. And this,
Mm-hmm.
all of this brokenness was happening just 4 years ago. I think about Hold On, which makes me
Mm-hmm.
freaking cry every time I hear, I kid you not. I heard that song and I knew what it was immediately. I knew it was about a child. Obviously, I'm a freaking mom, but like, and when I saw that it came from the movie Breakthrough, Devon Franklin's movie, about this boy who falls through the ice and almost dies. I couldn't watch the movie because that's how hard it was.
Oh, it's too much.
But that song made me, you know, that song was the movie for me. So when did that happen? When did Hold On happen?
So Hold On happened 3 years ago.
Okay.
And Hold On really kind of was the start of my career completely taking a 180.
Yeah.
And at the time I had went up to my record label, and there's a woman who is the president of the record label, and she wasn't really working on my project. So I had to put my big girl pants on and walk into that office. I'm not a confrontational person.
Yeah.
I don't ever really stand up for myself, but I will stand up for other people, like no problem. But this is the first time I needed to stand up for myself. And I went into this record label and I asked for Cindy Mabe is her name, to take over my project. And I had to tell this man, Mike Dungan, that I love him, but he needs to trust me. And that the music I'm making is not for him, and that he isn't my audience.
Yeah.
I've done it the label way for 7 years at this point.
Yeah.
And that way was not working for me. And it wasn't working for any woman, to be perfectly honest. And I said, I need you to trust me and allow me to figure it out on my own and find my space in the genre, which I'm still trying to figure out what that is, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the first thing that came to the plate was this movie. And Cindy said, Mickey, I want you to start looking into film and television. That is an untapped market for country artists. I want you to try. And I said, okay, I'll try. And the Breakthrough movie was the first one to come to my plate. I didn't know who was in it. I didn't know who produced it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Steph Curry was a part of it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Devon Franklin. None of that. Like, I just saw a little paragraph of what it was about this little boy that drowned. I'm not even a mother, so I didn't have any kind of like feeling of what that meant.
Yeah.
But I got together with some of my favorite writers in Nashville that are two women that have been discounted in this industry, that have been in rights with all men that have discounted them as writers and as artists. And it's been really frustrating. And we got together and wrote this song. And it was crazy. My producer had a coloring book in her room. So I got all these blue colored pencils and started coloring it all these different shades of blue for some reason. And we wrote this song. And the next thing I know, they were like flipping out over it and said, yes, we want this in the movie. The next thing I know, I'm in LA and I get to go
it's
and
amazing.
Yeah, and I get to meet Devon Franklin. Like I didn't even the song that I needed to beat, and I can't say the song because I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to talk about this artist, but this was a Christian artist,
Mm-hmm.
by the way, who has gone on and blew up, but she didn't want her song in this movie.
Wow. Girl. It was absolutely beautiful. And wait, so
Thank
you're
you.
saying you wrote it off of a paragraph description of the film?
Yeah, yeah.
Girl.
And we said, there's no way we're gonna beat the other song that they want, but we can try. There's no way. I've
Wow.
got such imposter syndrome. I'm so used to not being enough that I always
Yeah.
think, oh, there's no way they'll even want this. And it was such a beautiful song, but I still didn't think it was going to be enough.
Like I said, I cannot listen to that song without crying, but also just hearing the story and what that moment was for you is not going to help. Okay.
Uh,
It's not going to
girl.
help. Okay. So, let me see if, okay. So, this is something that I read recently that you will have an album come out this year or you'll record
In
an album
August.
this year.
In August. I'm
And so
recording it.
everything prior to this album, has it been like a bunch of singles? Has like what is the music
The ones that
industry
you've heard.
understanding? Yeah, everything that I've
So
heard
this
so
was
far.
just an EP, which is the precursor to the album.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
so
So like
there's,
Bridges and Heaven Down
yeah,
Here. Okay.
yes.
Okay.
But I've been writing all of these other songs
Got
within
it.
this. And we released Bridges in September,
Mm-hmm.
and all of this stuff started happening. And I was still writing throughout all of this, waiting for this album. We finally got a release date. I'm finally, after being signed to a label for 10 years, I'm finally putting out my first album.
Wow. That is wild and overdue, but amazing and necessary. And I'm excited.
I'm so excited. Like, there's so many songs that I have been writing over the years that for so long nobody was really hearing and seeing me. I wasn't seen for a
Yeah.
long time. And now I feel seen, and I'm finally getting the opportunities to write the music that's important to me. And they're allowing that. And that was something I was never allowed to do.
That's amazing. Do you think that
Thank you.
that, or I'll say, I think, and you tell me if this is true, it sounds like that's a combination of you fully owning yourself, your gifts, your voice, both vocally and like your thoughts, right? That
Yeah.
voice,
Mm-hmm.
as well as progress, right? In the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
business, in country
Yeah.
music, and in our, it's progress.
Yeah. I think it's that. I think it's also not only the progress, but at a certain point, I was so focused on just, I need to make it as a Black woman
Hmm.
so other women can have their opportunities.
Yeah.
And then I started looking and I realized that it's not enough for there just to be one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think part of this success, yes, is my voice, the songs, the message, but also because I am literally holding the door open for other Black women and Black
Hmm.
people.
Hmm.
Like, there are people out there that I have discovered and that I've just simply just put on my Instagram. Nothing more, nothing less. I may have made a couple of calls, but I'm literally seeing them getting their day in this
Yeah.
industry, and they're great. Like, it's not like
Yeah.
they're okay artists, like they are great. And they're getting their opportunities too. And I think showing these labels that there is more than just one, that monetarily there is an incentive to start signing us,
Hmm.
has
Hmm.
also helped my career. And that is
Yeah.
something that my career wouldn't be where it's at if I didn't lift. Like, we're going to all walk through this door together,
Right.
arms locked, like no one's better than the other. We are all the same. We are all equal, some maybe further ahead in their careers as others, but we are all the same.
Hmm.
And seeing that is truly one of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen. And I think that is also a key to my success.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we spend a lot of time. especially in Hollywood, right? Film, TV, music,
Mm-hmm.
etc. I
Yeah.
can't speak for other industries, but we spend a lot of time trying to like meet and be like the people we aspire to, the people we admire, when we should be
Mm-hmm.
like managing that peer mentorship, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that partnership
100%.
amongst those that are with us, coming up with us, or coming up behind us even,
Absolutely.
because that's where the future is. That's
Yes.
where, you know, it supports all of us when we can
Mm-hmm.
support one another.
Absolutely.
Whew.
1000%. Like that is something that I've learned, and you lifting somebody else is not going to take away from, like, you always hear and see those little cute little quotes and like blush pink and a little
Yeah.
crown and all of that, like real queens fix each other's crowns. It is true though.
It is
Like
true.
I like, again, my career would not be where it's at if there weren't other visible Black women that are starting to rise too. Like there's,
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer, and it's something that gives me so much joy, is helping other women pursue their dreams. Like I'm getting messages. There's a girl named Camille Parker. If you haven't heard of her, she is from North Carolina, this beautiful Black woman who can sing like an angel.
Mm-hmm.
And people from Nashville are writing into me saying, I got to work with Camille and her voice is exceptional. I'm like, I know there's more. There
Yeah.
are more. And it's just going to make the genre that much better.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love too, like, I loved country music growing up and kind of just
Yeah.
fell out of it, I think, as I got older. You know, I went to Howard, you know, we wouldn't really listen to a lot of country music there. But I'm so grateful to you and to the last year of me sort of rediscovering you and certainly your music and falling right back there. Like, I'm
Right.
just so happy.
Oh, girl, there's so many great artists. There's this guy named Breland, if you haven't heard of
Hmm.
him. I did a song with him, and he is, first of all, he can write his ass off. Like
Yeah.
and sing. He's one of the best singers I've ever heard. And just watching him flourish and do a song with Keith Urban
Yeah.
and
Well,
write, he's
girl, you
writing.
put me on to Jimmy Allen. Okay. You were talking about how Black women or, you know, women country artists can't sing about alcohol, but I love Drunk and I Miss You.
Right? That
I
song is
love it.
so good.
Yeah,
When
it's
Jimmy
great.
asked me to do that, it was such an honor. And Jimmy's really great at lifting up other people, lifting up other people of color. Like
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
really does walk the walk in that, right. And
Yeah.
it's just so cool to see Black excellence
Yes, it
just
is, girl.
flourish, or starting
Always.
to flourish in country music.
Yep. So one thing that I do like to do here at My New BFF is really get to know beyond the persona. You know, we've done a little bit of
Hmm.
that, but I have a couple of questions for you. So,
Okay.
what can you do today that you were not capable of a year ago?
I can speak out against injustice happening to marginalized communities in the
Yeah.
United States. That's something that I was never able to do a year ago, when I
Yeah.
first started singing country music. We weren't allowed to talk about those things. We weren't allowed
Mm.
to call out those things. And now I very much so speak my truth. Like, I'm a citizen of the United States, just like everybody else. I'm not telling people who to vote for, but I will tell people what I think. And
Right.
if something is wrong, I'm going to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And that
amazing.
feels good. It's a freedom that I never had. And that's really cool.
What failure or disappointment have you learned the most from?
Watching a single fall off of the charts, that was really, really difficult for me. And I learned so much that just because something doesn't work musically, like, get better, do better, write that much harder. And that's
Yeah.
something that, it's so easy to blame others as to why you're not finding success, but it's always so important to look within first versus pointing the
Hmm.
blame, because you can't control everybody else, but you can control yourself. And that is one thing I did. It was like, okay, that didn't work. But just because you have a failure doesn't mean that you can't continue on. Like, don't ever, ever give up or stop just because something wasn't working.
Okay. So what does it mean to you to make it? Like, have you made it, or is there something else that will be that moment for you?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know what that is, because I just co-hosted the ACM Awards with Keith Urban. And that felt like that should have been the moment where I've made it.
Yeah.
But I still feel so often that like I still don't belong. I'm not good enough. So I don't know what that is. I don't know what making it feels like. I don't know. Because, you know, what I thought making it would feel like, it doesn't feel like that. So I don't know. I think watching other Black women in country music getting their shot because of me, I feel like I made it in that sense.
That's beautiful.
You know, like that's something that where it's like, I feel like I made it. Going to and filming something for CMT and seeing that there is a Black woman that is directing the set. And her holding my hand as we walk off and say, thank you. I'm so glad we're here together. That feels like I'm making it.
I love that. Oh, man. Okay, girl. I don't want this conversation to end.
I don't want it to end either.
I don't want it to be another 10 years either.
No. You know
It
what happened?
Be.
I think I went through a breakup, and then that breakup was the worst. Oh my God.
Yeah, there was a lot of life happening at that time, for real.
Yeah,
for real.
There really was. But I'm so glad that is not happening. We're going to get together with our son.
Yes, I can't wait. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
First off, give me a baby to hold. Okay, I'm vaccinated.
You're going to love him so much. He's such a sweet baby.
Yay. Oh, I can't wait.
Really?
I cannot wait. I absolutely love hearing about everything that you have going on. I love, honestly, that you just haven't changed at all, and so much.
You do.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful that we are good people, and we have stayed good people. Okay.
Yes, we have. Yes,
who
we
love
have.
our people.
Yes,
and
we
so
do.
I appreciate seeing day in and day out, you know, on your social and on all the appearances that you've had, the amount of grace that you show both the music business, who hasn't always been kind, and these racists who ain't never kind. And I just think that you shining just tells everybody to just keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
And I'm grateful for that. And I'm proud of you for what that's worth.
I'm proud of you. This is too much. This is too much.
It is. So is there anything, you know, I know we've got the new album coming out. Is there anything else going on that we need to know about?
I think that's it. That's the biggest thing for me is there is an album finally coming out. I'll send you some of the songs. They're really good.
I can't
They're
wait.
really good.
I cannot
I'll send
wait.
you some.
And all of those listening, make sure you check out some of these Black women, Black artists in country music that Mickey mentioned, as well as do your own research, get some Googling going on. Follow her at Mickey Guyton on Instagram, because she's always highlighting beautiful new artists of color, marginalized artists. So please follow her and follow along with some of those people. Give the podcast 5 stars if you want Mickey Guyton to be your new BFF. And let us know in the reviews who else I should have on. Thank you, girls, so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. I'm so grateful to catch up.
So grateful.
All right. Thanks for listening. And don't forget to catch the new season of Black Love every Friday on OWN at 10/9 Central.